We live in what is called the information age, the electronic age, the computer age, digital age, new media age. These all refer to the section of history with which we belong as a society today. Judging by these names, it is no surprise to see just how dependent and fixated we all are with technology. We are being consumed by the very machines we created. So it's interesting to think, where does this consumption stop? That's a scary thought. As the world moves, adapts, learns, we must go with it. Otherwise we get left behind. As technology grows bigger, better, and stronger, it offers a world of possibilities, both good and bad. There is no denying that it helps us to communicate, share ideas, collaborate, initiate, pioneer, solve problems, create problems, and find more solutions. It helps us to become more. But the more we use technology, the more we lose sight of what's beyond. The natural environment is becoming more distant, clouded behind this mist of technology, a mist that is going to inevitably become stronger. I ask you, do you immerse yourself in nature? The soul thrives when there is a balance in life. Our computers, phones, tablets, and games all slowly pull us into an immersive experience, one that is easy to get lost in. In order to break the cycle, you need to spend more time away from the presence of screens, even if it is only for a short time. Getting out into nature, experiencing the abundance of beauty that Mother Nature offers, is a great way to do just that. It grounds us with a sense of reality, a sense that not every problem can be solved with a computer. Sometimes it's just stepping away in order to get a clear judgment that truly matters. It is often said that we must surround ourselves with those who do it better than us. This may be true, but I believe it is more important to listen to those who do it differently than us. And so I ask you again, do you really immerse yourself in nature? Who do you know that could inspire a change in your mindset? It may just be worth your time.
I think growing up on the Isle of Man is what inspires me to love the outdoors, because how can you not? We're in such a beautiful place. It really is, the jewel of the Irish Sea, that and the beautiful nature is all around us. Even in the middle of Douglas, it's still green, it's still beautiful, and you're 10 minutes from the beach almost everywhere that you live on the Isle of Man. So I think growing up here absolutely instills a sense of nature being normal. It's not assigned to a national park, it's everywhere around us. But also my grandma, who very recently passed away, she was an incredible person who just had a love of nature, and I didn't see her very much at all because she lived in Devon and we lived here, and obviously quite difficult to see. But every time I'd go, she'd show me the bats that lived where she lived, and we'd go on walks by the river and she'd tell me stories about otters. And I think she was probably what initiated the thinking differently about nature, loving nature for nature's sake rather than as a convenient way of going very fast on a boat. I think there are loads of ways that people can get out in nature, and I think the nicest way of doing it is for it to be every day. Your walk to work should be through beautiful parks and trees and woodland rather than through a concrete jungle. And I think that's what makes nature, or what I think what our relationship with nature should be turning to, rather than it being other and a space that you go to enjoy nature. It's everywhere. It's us. We are part of nature. And that's what I really love. And I think that's a very unique way of getting involved with it, because instead of, making the effort to going on a day trip in order to see an amazing forest, which of course is worthwhile doing, you get to appreciate it in every moment that you're around. And you know, we've got this amazing aesthetic of plants everywhere, and I love it. People are building jungles in their flats and in their homes, and that's great, and we should be doing that in our towns and our cities as well. What I've been really interested in recently is foraging, not just for food, but for making your own inks and making your own paper. And how far back can you go before, you know, how far back can you go? Can you go all the way and make paper from complete scratch, just, you know, river water and some trees? I don't know, but I've been really interested in making my own inks and learning a bit more about foraging. I made gorse cordial for first time the other day, and that was very exciting. And I think that's quite a unique one, but it's becoming more popular again. You know, we've got Mercer, the foraging restaurant, which I just think is brilliant, who does foraging walks, and I think it's definitely coming into the mainstream again, this idea of food is all around us. We just have to look a little bit harder with, you know, with the knowledge to see what we can. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone or really anyone apart from me, but from my perspective, and I did a lot of work on how lockdown affected people, particularly the first one. I did a project, and almost everyone mentioned how much they reconnected with nature because of the first lockdown. And I don't know whether that's been different in the second two here on the Isle of Man, but it was just absolutely fascinating. You know, being able to work from home meant that people could work in their gardens or take lunchtime to go walking down a silent street with no cars on to the nearby park or wherever, or take more time to go out with the kids to forests and beaches and things like that. And there was this amazing reconnection, and I think it wasn't just with nature, it was with ourselves and with each other. And there was a lot of positives, I think, that came from the first lockdown. Obviously immense negatives, and I think particularly as it's gone on there have been more and more negatives, but in that first lockdown, for a lot of people, or at least the ones I spoke to, it was a massive reconnecting. And I wonder whether that's continued now, or whether, because we've gone back to the treadmill of going back into work and all of those things, whether it's gone by the wayside. But definitely a reconnection of nature, and making the effort to go out and see it. This is a really, really difficult question to answer, particularly from an individual perspective. I think that needs, and is, I'm sure, happening, lots and lots of research doing about it. I don't know, I work with Isle of Play, which is this incredible charity that has spaces for children and kids to do whatever they want in their own space. You know, they own the space. And those children have the chance to stay at home and play video games, and sometimes they do. You know, if the weather's really bad, I'm sure we'd all much rather be staying at home indoors nice and warm. But it is incredible how often they choose to come, even in bad weather. And it's just an absolute joy to see them being together and being in a park with pallets that they make things out of, and being outdoors generally. I think that's incredible. But I think, you know, the more and more that we focus on screens and technology, the more we realise that having a break from that and going outside and going for a walk is incredibly important.
We'd like to get out ideally every day, because we live in such a beautiful place. It's a really good idea to do that. But we we found a new place that we like to go. So we've started going along the other side of the Marine Drive, haven't we?
Yeah, like the side near
Port Sodrick. Yeah, so we go to Port Sodrick and then we drive up and there's a place we like to park and then we walk that way. We've decided to do that because we're in the sun that side. We always used to walk the other side, but by the time we get out, now that Amelia works till 5.
Yeah, so by the time we go after work, like the other side is dark, so we tend to go that side so it's sunny and we go for a little walk, but mainly we just go and sit on a bench in the sun and have talks. So yeah, and then I think on weekends as well we try to get out as well. So we tend to go there kind of on the days and then try and get out on the weekends.
We'll go a bit further afield.
Yeah,
my favourite places to go is Port Erin. I really like going to Port Erin Beach or Laxey Beach. For me, I like being by the sea is where I like to go when I'm trying to get away from kind of being inside the sea. I really like being by the coast. For me, sometimes I felt really trapped on the island, and being able to have that open water, it's kind of, you've got a much bigger horizon. I really like that. I grew up by the sea, and I've always wanted to live by the sea. I can't live in land at all. I've got to be able to see the sea at some point. Yeah, I think it's the big horizon, and I also love it if it's really rough. I mean, it's been nice lately, but I love it how it's part of nature that's not controlled, and you see it in all its wildness, but then the calm as well. So I really like the sea.
I'm working from home at the moment, so I spend a lot of time on my laptop, like literally 9 to 5 every day, and then I spend evenings kind of on my phone, on the computer, watching TV, and I do like that. Like, it is great. It's great to connect, especially because my boyfriend lives in the UK, so I spend a lot of time calling him. But for me, I do enjoy getting out and kind of getting away from that, like switching my phone off and going out. So yeah, we like going near the beach.
Because the other weekend we decided to have a screen-free Saturday. So Amelia was allowed to just tell Jack in the morning, say hello, and tell him, that's Jack's her boyfriend, that she was going to do that. And
yeah, it was really nice. So it was.
And you said it was one of the best days you'd had for a long time.
Yeah, it was just nice. It was just quieter. We kind of went out and
we went all the way down to Langness, which was really beautiful, and we walked right over to the far coast where it was a bit wilder, didn't we? And then we walked up to an old ruin, I don't know what it was, a kind of battlement thing on the corner of Langness there. It was really beautiful, wasn't it?
It was just nice to kind of just switch off, and like I was a bit like, oh, I don't know. We've done it before and it was fine, and it was fine. It was just a bit like weird for the first like few hours because I kept reaching my phone,
then when you came
but it
home,
wasn't there
because I literally put it in a bureau.
Locked it away. But it was good. Like,
I think when you came home, you will probably reach for your phone or your computer too, because for Amelia, it's her leisure, and now it's become her work and her leisure. So it's just, for me, too much screen, really.
Yeah, and I think like I told my friends, and they were like, "That's so weird. Like, why did you do that?" And I was like, I don't know. It was just nice, and I think they were like, I don't know if they spend as much time on their computers as me, but they probably do because they're all kind of either studying or working from home, so it's kind of similar. And they were like, why on earth did you do that? And I was like, well, it was just nice.
So one of the things that I found really helpful was, for me, that I found very calming, because I live in a flat and I don't have a garden, was I was able to join a project where we went and I could do gardening, and there was an option to do like kind of woodworking type stuff, but I really liked working with the guy who was organising the plants, and it was really important to me to be able to focus on being more in the moment and just thinking about what I was doing, planting the flowers or kind of picking the soft fruit. That was really lovely, those moments when I was just, it was so, and I found it kind of really engrossing, and it's quite physical, getting in with the soil and everything, which was different from, you couldn't think about anything else, and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. Well, for the 3 hours that I was there, I wasn't thinking about work or anything else. I was just immersed in that time, which was really lovely.
Yeah, I think one thing I would say to people my generation, if they want to get out more and they want to kind of get away from their phones, is kind of just to kind of force yourself to do it, and kind of just put it away and go out in nature. And one thing I really like doing when I go out and about is kind of still have my phone with me, but like using it to take loads of photos, because I'm really into landscape painting and painting things in nature, flowers, kind of the countryside. One of my favourite things to do is to go out in the car and drive around with mum and take photos that I can then go back and paint. And I feel like that connection's still there, even if I'm not out experiencing nature. Like, I have the photo and I can look at the photo and I can recreate that on paper. So that's one thing I do really love.
I think for me, I'm influenced about being outside more for my dad, who we both liked. We both had such a love of open space, as opposed to going up like the mountain or being on the mountain on the Isle of Man. It's rather like the Yorkshire Moors, which is where I grew up. It's got a lot of similarities in terms of landscape, and I don't know, it's just something that inside you've got your four walls and your phone can connect you, but I don't know, there's something quite I don't know, kind of quite primal about being outside on the moors. It's very open. You can imagine people from, you know, centuries ago being there on the moors, and that has a big connection as a person. It's kind of more of a spiritual experience, I think, being out there for me. I kind of think, I can imagine Vikings being here or whatever. And my dad was out in the Argentina, and I think it's really something that's inside me. And even now I feel like, because I've been in lockdown, I miss being able to travel and see a huge open spaces. That's something I feel it really lifts the spirit and takes you so much to take in, there's so much to smell, the air's different, you feel just completely different as a person than being closeted inside, and everything's so small on the screen. Even if you've got a large monitor, it's still a small screen, whereas when you've got the whole landscape, it's a complete 3D immersive experience, which is so much better.
I certainly think people spend too much time in front of a television. They don't seem to realise, especially the young ones, that it can cause eye problems, which can make you go blind quite early. Also, it causes a lot of muscle problems because they're spending too much time sitting and not moving around and getting some exercise and fresh air. And recently, a lot of people are suffering from severe headaches, and that's because of the muscle strain, the posture strain, because they put their heads forward to watch their telephones. And it's the same with the computer. That's why people are being told to watch a little bit of the computer or even the television, and then get up and walk around, so that you keep your muscles nice and loose. To me, it's nature. There's so many things in nature that you can love. One of mine is waking up in the morning, looking through the window and seeing, on a frosty morning, and seeing the sun rising. The sky is beautiful red, and that's reflecting onto the mountains and things. And to me, there's nothing to touch it. But and the other thing is walking through the woods after a shower of rain, because when the foliage under your feet is wet, you get a smell from it, and it's so fresh and lovely, and hearing the birds singing, or perhaps walking past a field or through a field with the sheep and their little lambs in. I mean, those are the things we see quite a lot of. I mean, it's different if you go to Africa and you get a different type of animal and everything like that. Standing on a beach with penguins, the jackass penguins, and they were walking everywhere, and remember, we stood, and because there was a pair of penguins walking down, and we stopped and they stopped, and we said to them, "That's all right, you go along," and they looked, and off they went. Yeah, and I mean, we were so close, just a couple of feet away, I suppose, from them. They didn't seem to worry us at all. Well, there were so many things in Africa. I mean, it really was wonderful. We were lucky to go through the Kruger Park, and as the coach was taking us through, the animals were crossing the road, like the zebra and the elephants and the monkeys, and things like that. It was just out of this world, yeah. Then we went further north, and then we went to a camp where we slept in a hut. Everyone who went there had their own hut. And in the morning, pulled the curtains, and there were the monkeys all running around. I mean, that was just amazing, yeah. Then going up to Victoria Falls, and to see that expanse of water and the height of the waterfalls were, I mean, no, you can't, well, I can't describe them. Just that you couldn't hear one another speak because of the noise. And I think they are the second largest waterfalls in the world, yeah. But then coming through a place like Pretoria, and the sides of the road were all tree-lined, and they were the can't remember the name of the trees now, but they were all in jacaranda trees, and they were all in full blossom, a lovely purpley shade. Oh, absolutely marvelous! Yeah, there's so many things in nature that you can love. To me, walking has always been a pleasure then, and going through woods or along a beach or anything like that is lovely. I mean, I went on a 90-mile walk round the island, and we saw so many glens and things that a lot of people would never go to. It's difficult to try. I mean, I try and encourage. We used to organise walks and things like that at the WI, but now that has gone. Not many people go because we are getting old, I suppose, and you can't walk. And another thing is, people worry when they get older about going down a glen because the road isn't very even, and they're worried about falling. But I can't understand why people don't walk. They can just if you sit in the garden here and you walk around the garden and the birds are there, that's, I mean, you've got it there, and you watch the dogs on the beach and things like there's so much going on in the countryside. Yeah. I mean, being brought up in the country where there were no buses, I suppose you appreciate sort of the wildlife and nature more perhaps than people who are born in town and never go into the country.
Nature's influence is far-reaching, crosses all boundaries and connects generations, families and friends. Along with time itself, it's the one constant in life. And that's something we shouldn't forget. From plants and flowers, to insects and animals, to unpredictable weather, and the landscapes all around us. Our world, Earth, home, has so much variety and beauty. And with allowing ourselves a little bit of time, we can all enjoy what it is we could never live without.